Good evening and welcome to What's Your Story tonight here on KTN Home. Thank you for making time to tune in yet another week, seeking inspiration, seeking hope, just seeking a good story. And I promise you, this is one of those that you listen to and go like, what? My guest tonight, Miss Zamzam Abib. She is a managing partner with Abib and Associates. Kikuyu, forgive me. she's a lawyer. Basically, she's a first Somali female who owns a law firm in Kenya.
The first to open a law firm.
First to open
a law firm in
yes.
Nairobi.
And it's yours.
Yes.
So you own it.
Yes.
Yes. You're a managing partner
Yes.
with Abib and Associates
Advocates.
Yes. Hey, that one took forever. You're most welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So this radiant, beautiful girl you see here has broken intergenerational trauma. She's a FGM survivor. She has dealt with a parent, and you'll get to hear her story, a parent who, you know, the trauma always starts from somewhere anyway. You know, if you've watched this show long enough, you'll understand that our parents and their parents and their parents' parents, it all starts from there. And you see her here, and she's broken that. She also went against society norms, and she's married to somebody who is not in her culture.
Yes.
You'll get to tell us.
Yes.
Karibu sana.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
Yes.
All that you've gone through so young.
It's been a roller coaster. It's been a journey.
It doesn't show on you. It doesn't at all.
Because of, I think in life you learn to smile through it all.
Yeah?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
So first Somali woman, Kenyan
yes.
Somali.
Woman, yes.
Yes, who opened a law firm.
Yes.
How old were you when that happened?
Probably I was around 29.
Oh, 29.
Yes.
Okay.
So 2012. Yeah, around 29 years old. Because
Yes.
law is a long career. It is a long, long career.
Yes.
Yes.
So you were in law school between which years of your life?
204 to 208. And then KSL, Kenya School of Law, 209. And then we had to go through pupillage. I went through a whole period, 209 till 2011.
Yeah.
And then I was admitted to the bar, 2011. We had to work under someone for like 2 years. And then now, around 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
What motivated you, first of all, to choose law as a course?
Because I saw injustice, a lot of injustice growing up. So inequalities, injustice.
Yes.
Yeah, so growing up, a sense of right and wrong, you know, seeing what women were going through in my community, what my mother went through. So there was just something odd and off about my culture, my environment.
Yeah.
So my sense of justice was shaped very early on.
Wow.
Yes.
Could you speak to some of the things you saw, especially someone like your mom, because that's very close to you?
Yes.
What she went through?
So my mom, by the way, I call myself a Somali Bukusu. I was born in Western Kenya. I am from Western Kenya, a place called Webuye, where the pan paper factory mills
was
were.
founded. Yes.
So my environment, I mean, growing up, I grew up in a very open, society culture.
Yeah.
There was no much division between a boy and a girl.
Oh. Okay.
But then coming home, you come home to a Somali home. I mean, in school and outside, you're in a Kenyan society. But when you come home, you're coming home to a Somali community, a Somali family.
Yeah.
So my mom was blessed with 4 daughters, one after the other. So in the Somali community, a girl child is more or less a nobody.
Okay.
When I do my writings, I say a girl child is doomed from birth in this kind of environments, in this kind of cultures.
Okay.
So my dad, there was a lot of pressure from the community, from the clan, to marry another wife to bear for him a son. So he brought in a wife, and then conflict started at home, turmoil. So we were supposed to move into a property that I had seen my mom identify, and then that other lady came in, and there was a lot of commotion. So just seeing my mother being attacked, being beaten, and my father not doing much to protect her.
Yeah.
So I realized in this kind of communities, as a woman, as a girl child, you're out on your own. When we talk about racism in the US, in this kind of communities, I talk about male privilege. The way you have white privilege, the son and the males are privileged from birth because they are sort of like, they're the, you know, like they have equal rights.
Right.
They have full rights rather.
Right.
But as a woman, as a girl child, you're half of what a man is or what a boy is, or maybe even a third or a quarter. So luckily for me, when I realized this dynamics, I was a very sharp girl. I started fighting for my rights early on.
Oh.
I started challenging my father, like, why are you giving too much attention to my brother? I'm here, I also matter.
Wow.
And from there now, I think the relationship with my father came about because I used to challenge him. I used to refuse. I'm actually a person who's anti-status quo. I'm somebody who's a disruptor. I like to disrupt the norms, you know, by challenging and yeah. So basically, we grew up in a system where in school, you are a Kenyan, you're going through a Kenyan system, but at home, you're going through a very different system.
So it must have been very confusing.
Very
then,
confusing,
yeah.
very confusing.
Were you are you the firstborn?
I'm the second born.
You're the second born?
I'm the second born,
Wow.
yes, yeah.
So when you're busy challenging your father,
Yes.
Your firstborn sister, your elder sister.
She was in boarding school. She was sent to boarding school early on. We were supposed to go to boarding school together.
Yeah.
But for one reason or the other, she was sent to boarding. I was kept in day school.
Okay.
Yeah, so I grew up in that environment, you know, where like, even it's funny that I was not allowed to sit on the dining table. The dining table is reserved for your father. Children are supposed to sit on a mat on the floor. So you're fed before your dad comes. Once the patriarch comes, he sits on the table. He's not supposed to be disturbed. So I remember my dad called me one of the days, like, come and sit with me. And I was like, no, no, no. You know, like, whatever happens, I'm not allowed to sit here.
Okay.
Then luckily I sat, and I'll talk about later the importance of sitting on the table.
Tell us now.
It teaches you about power sharing. It teaches you about, when you sit on that table, it's the table of opportunities. Wow. Yes, wow. You learn about etiquette of how to sit even with men in this kind of communities, how to eat when you're seated with them, how to conduct yourself. You understand? A lot of girls, a lot of women, and the men are fed first, and the women and the children, you know, are fed last.
Is that so?
Yes, yes. In this kind of communities and cultures, they're very patriarchal in nature. As a woman, even the language itself, women, you know, you are by the way. It's the men. Decision making, everything, it's the men. They're the ones who dictate your life. So I say the girl child, she's born a carrier of a man's legacy in this kind of communities. You know, your identity does not matter.
Right.
Yes, because like in certain communities, like the Somali communities, you carry your father's clan. Your mother's clan does not matter. You understand?
Yes.
So this, and clan system in the Somali community, for example, it's like your identity. It's everything.
What's a clan system?
So when in Kenya, we look at tribes. We have the Kikuyu.
Yes.
We have the Luos. We
Yes.
have the Kambas. We have the Maasais. In the Somalis, we are more or less a nation spanning different countries. And then now it's your clan. Clan now is like, you go below the tribe. And then you have now different clans. So you stick within your clan. You do business within your clan. You marry within your clan. You have clan elders. Even now in Somalia, you don't vote one man, one vote. The clan decides who's the representative. So basically, women are non-factors in this kind of communities. And it's something that as I did law, I came to realize it's like 1 + 1 is not adding up. There's so much injustice in this community. So I started writing about it. I started speaking more about it.
So, but you're given opportunities to pursue education?
Yes. So I was given, luckily now, I was coming into a family that, you know, they start giving few rights here and there to the girl child. So I was lucky. I didn't come from a family where you're married off at 18.
Right.
So for me, it was more or less, my mother didn't get a chance to pursue her education because in this kind of communities, there's no need to pursue education because in any case, your goal in life is to get married.
As a lady?
As a lady. That is your purpose for your existence. And to date, we have people with that kind of mentality. Yes.
Because it's ingrained
It's
from
ingrained.
parents.
It's a mindset.
Yes.
It's a mindset problem.
Yes.
So I managed to pursue my education at Lugulu Primary School, the boarding side. It was a very good school. I ended up being a very bright student. I passed with flying colors, had a very good headmistress who, you know, like Western Kenya, the teachers are very supportive.
Okay.
And they don't need to be bribed, they don't need to be pushed. There, genuinely, people care.
Yeah.
And then I was admitted at Loreto Limuru.
Oh, nice.
Yes, then from Loreto Limuru, now that's when I went to do Nairobi University.
Yeah.
And then now here I am. It's been a journey. Initially, I had wanted to pursue medicine. Then I realized it's not for me. So I ended up back to where I belonged. Yes.
So law.
Law. So law is something I told my dad when I was 10 years old. I'll
10?
be a lawyer. And growing up in Western Kenya, I can assure you I had never seen a lawyer in my life.
Right. So at
Yes.
10 years old, how do you even know something like lawyer?
Probably I saw it in a dictionary or I saw it somewhere, you know.
Yes.
And I think that sense of injustice it kept on ringing in me. It's like, no, no, no. And I used to tell my father,
Yeah.
like he would ask me, what's your clan? Because they do ask you, what's your clan?
Wow.
And then I told him, I'm 50% you, I'm 50% my mother.
Wow. So you'd ask and say 50-50. And your dad looks at you like, whose child is
Like,
this?
whose child is this? Like, are you loyal or disloyal? But he knew when I meant business.
Yes.
I was always, and the relationship with my father was nurtured because I used to challenge him. You might think he would get intimidated, but no. He actually loved it. And that's what made me like his favorite.
Yes.
I would challenge him. I would tell him, no, 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 this way of thinking is wrong.
Yes.
I mean, like, this is where we are heading.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so he wasn't that strict, traditional man.
No.
He enjoyed those conversations.
So my mother, when I look at my background, my mother was the disciplinarian, the strict one. My father was very easygoing. So we were always like daddy's children. He wasn't the type to punish.
Yeah.
I've just been beaten once by him, and he apologized and gave me sweets. But Mama, on the other side, I call her the Iron Lady.
Okay.
Yes. Very ruthless in her ways.
Oh,
Yes.
ruthless. That's a
Ruthless.
hard word.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So how are you, because I read that you survived FGM.
Yes. So being a Somali, I mean, of course, they passed their daughters through FGM. I cannot remember when it happened because when I look back at my life, I think the trauma was so massive that I left my body. Because later on, when I went through therapy, I did a deep hypnotherapy sessions with my therapist. I had to be returned back to my body.
My God.
So what happened one evening, I was just captured and then placed on the dining table, held by my mother's auntie who died, and a Kalenjin lady now, we call them cutters now. And then I was mutilated on our dining table. I remember when I look back, I passed out, I came back to life. I passed out, I came back to life. Because they do without any painkillers, without anything. And that, and you know, when I look back at my life, I say, where was my mother? She's the one who was supposed to protect me. Where was my father? When these communities are practicing this kind of cultures on the girl child, you know, you're failing the girl child. Because when these procedures are being done, all of a sudden the father is nowhere to be seen. Maybe they discuss among themselves, it's like, this is a women affair, exit. So I remember I contracted an infection. I was taken to a family doctor. We had a Pakistani family doctor. And I was a child. I remember he asked my mother, why do you do these things? And she responded, this is our culture. And then he said, this is wrong. So they tie your legs after the procedure. You're not able to move. Helping yourself go to the toilet, you do it on like a kind of like a bedpan or something like that. So it's inhumane. And people think this is a joke by passing light comments that, oh, the religion allows it, oh, this and this and that. This thing is trauma. It deeply affects the child. It messed up the relationship between me and my mother because I could not trust this individual. So when I went through that, I knew in my heart I have to survive this home. I mean, I'm a child. I cannot support myself. But I will work very hard in school. And I just have to make it in life and never come back. And it spoiled the relationship with my mother because she lost my trust. And Somali mothers, they might not know it, they pass a lot of their unhealed trauma, unhealed pain, and they're the people who are the carriers of these retrogressive cultures. Yeah. When we're fighting these retrogressive cultures, we actually need to target the women. because women are the carriers of these cultures. So I will speak more openly about it because there's a lot of shame surrounding it to even speak about it, because this is a very sensitive topic. This is something that deeply affects you as a person. You don't want to be a laughing stock, you know, by sharing such key personal information. It messes up even your intimacy. It messes up your relationship, you understand? So it affects even the women when they're giving birth. It kills your self-esteem. It completely destroys you as a person.
My God.
So for me, even like right now is when I'm starting this conversation with her through a family member, like through an intermediary, a family friend, like, why did you do this? You were entrusted with very beautiful children, very bright children. Why did you fail us, mother? Why did you fail us? And then now, my father died when I was in Form 4, a month before my exams. I used to write tributes to like praise my dad. Last year and this year I could not write, because I've been asking myself, where were you, you know, when that happened to me? And I didn't even know I had gone through such deep trauma until later on in my life broke down. And then I went through therapy. And then now when I went through therapy, that's when now the therapist took me through grief of losing a father, FGM. Now I really trusted this therapist, highly trained. And from there now, we went through session by session. And from there now, actually right now at the age of 40 is when I'm connecting to myself, is when I'm going back to the real Zamzam, who the real Zamzam was. And I do a lot of reading on trauma. I've become an expert on trauma. And for my daughter, I've been blessed with 2 daughters. I told myself it will not happen to my daughters. My daughters, this will not be carried forward to my daughters. My daughters are going to grow up to be full citizens. They're not going to be held back by culture or by religion. I do not condone this using of God to subject women to second-class treatment. I mean, we live in the 21st century. These things should not be allowed to happen. So also through that, I carried mother wounds. When you grow up in this kind of environments, mother wound is passed from mother. So from my grandmother to my mother, I didn't even know what was ailing me. You look at your life, you're a very bright student, but when you look at your life, even failed relationship, you cannot relate with women. I used to stay far away from women, by the way, because of the trauma of FGM and mother wounds. So I just knew it's not good to stay near women. So I used to keep far away from women. You not see Zamzam with close female friends.
So
You'll
how did
see
you
me
survive
more with
high school?
So high school, Loreto Limuru being far away from home. I mean, you know how you go through 844 system of education. It's just ticking the boxes from one box to another. You don't have much self-awareness. So you're just there reading history, maths, or pass. When I look back, I've realized this 844 system of education failed us because you don't have self-awareness. Communication skills is what I'm learning now as an adult. Self-advocacy, boundaries. Now we're talking about boundaries. It's a new thing. It's a big thing. Learn to say no, you know. Along the way now, with all this trauma, I developed people-pleasing habits, codependency. I'm healing from it now. So I've done so much reading. So I follow a lot of writers and speakers. And with the advent of technology now, you have access to information at the click of a button. So I've done a lot of reading. Actually, there's correlation between the mother wound and patriarchy. Yeah, there's Bethany Webster. She does a lot of writing on Facebook. And she's an author as well. So we have a long way to go. We have a long way to go.
So Zamzam, let me ask you. So when you went to boarding school, high school that is, part of the reason also was you wanted to get as far away as possible from your mom.
So for me, because home was chaotic. Home was, I used to, you know, let me tell you a funny thing. School was my safe haven. Some kids, they hate school. I loved school. Because in school, nobody's shouting at you. Nobody's beating you. Like father and mother not fighting. You understand? There is just peace in school. You understand? So for me, school was everything. So I focused on school. I got good teachers. I had very good friends. I was put in boarding school, class 7, class 8. And then I went to Loreto Limuru. It was lonely being far away from Western Kenya. But then for me, I knew like my ticket out of all this is through education.
Education.
I just have to work hard. I just have to make it out of here.
And at 10 years, you knew my life path is being a lawyer.
I have to be a lawyer. So along the way, I started changing a little bit because I was very good in mathematics. So I thought, like, let me pursue maths, probably engineering, you know, along the way. Then I had a family member who's a doctor. So also he tried to convince me to pursue medicine. So then I came back now to law fully.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was always my life path.
Yes.
And it's not an easy journey, by the way, fighting for rights.
No.
Especially in spaces where we have people who, I call them gatekeepers. These are gatekeepers of this kind of cultures. When I look at them, and most of them, like in the Somali community, they're not bulging.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not bulging. I'm seeing other communities, like the Kikuyu community, I condone them.
Yeah.
They're moving with the times, you know? As the government is advocating for gender equality, you're seeing more of the communities embracing.
Yeah.
Like right now, I'm dealing with a Maasai community. The father is going to give land to the girls.
Oh, wow.
And he wants to protect the widow, the wife.
Yes.
And because the first
daughters.
wife died,
Yeah.
so the second wife that he married, and the daughters. And he's consulting me on this. So these things, they give me hope.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yes.
When I see communities changing,
Yeah.
communities embracing, you know, the girl child, you know? And also the boy child, let's not neglect the boy child, because the boy child now growing in this kind of environments, they have toxic masculinity. So now, when you look at this kind of communities now, there's going to be a clash, because the girls are advancing and then the boy child will be left behind. We need our boy child also to move with the times.
Us, yes.
Yes.
Wow. Whew, man, let's take a short break.
Thank you.
Let's
Thank
take
you.
a short commercial break.
Thank you.
We'll be back with Ms. Zamzam Abib. Remember, she's a lawyer, and what a strong, profound calling, because what she saw growing up, what she had been through, she's fighting for the rights of women, especially in her community, because she knows what they have been through based on her experience. So let's come back after the break and just get to learn more and hear where this story is going.
Immediately my father died, I remember during the funeral, I tried to hug my mother. She pushed me with so much force that I felt embarrassed. I was going to my mom to look for a hug, to look for comfort. That's when I came to appreciate my father's presence in my life. Growing up also, there was no love. You know, even like we just used to greet her by her. So you grow up even lacking that emotional affection, you understand? So these kind of things, they really mess you up.
Welcome back from the break. It's What's Your Story here on KTN Home. I'm Catherine, having a conversation with Miss Zamzam Abib. She owns and she founded Abib Associates.
Abib and Associates Advocates.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's her law firm. She started that at 29 years old. If you're joining us now, Zamzam has survived FGM. She has survived intergenerational trauma. She is breaking cycles, and she's very passionate about just preserving the lives of women, especially in her culture, which is the Somali culture. So we left it off at, you were talking to us about mother wounds.
Yes.
And how this is now when you're just 40 years old.
Yes.
40 years young.
40 years young.
Yes, so this is when now someone is helping you mend the relationship with your mom.
Yes.
You also said something earlier on where our mothers also picked it up from our
Their
grandmothers.
mothers. Yes.
So their mothers passed it on, and that's why a woman will say, but this is our culture, because it was passed on.
Yes.
So knowing that and not discrediting the fact that she wasn't there when you needed her.
Yes.
How do you merge the two? How do you get to that? Because you've learned a lot about trauma. So I feel like you'll have an answer to this question.
Yes.
So we know what our parents went through.
Yes.
We expected them to treat us better.
Yes.
But they didn't, because they carried that as well.
Yes.
So they also carried their own trauma.
Yes.
But that doesn't stop me from feeling
Yes.
you should have been there.
Yes. Yes.
How do I reconcile that?
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a very difficult journey.
Yeah.
Because growing up, you know, like I remember when I was about also 10, 11, I turned to my dad and I told him, is this my stepmother? And my dad turned and told me, no, 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 this is your mother. I told him, are you really sure? Because I cannot imagine like a mother being like this. And then when I look at my life, actually, I lost the attachment. You know, when we are talking about trauma, kids going through trauma, we have developmental trauma that comes out when the mother is not equipped to handle the child.
Right.
You understand? So when that attachment is not properly formed, there's attachment trauma. And there's a lot of now research on attachment trauma.
Yes.
So you'll have a lot of challenges in relationship. You can be anxious, avoidant, insecure. So these are things that I didn't even know ailed me. And then another thing also, I was suffering from abandonment trauma. Because at one point along this journey, my mother left us with our dad. She dumped us with our dad and took our youngest brother, and she left us for some time. When she came back, she told me, you know, we should be grateful that she's back. So I grew up feeling grateful that I cannot even complain. So that people-pleasing habit comes in, and codependency. You shrink to survive in this kind of environment. You lose your sense of self, you understand? And then you have deep abandonment trauma. You hold on to people, even some relationships are not good for you. You're just holding on. You cannot let go because of this kind of wounds, you understand? And I didn't even know all these things. So along the way, now let me talk about that background. So I tended to focus on school and to minimize interactions with my mother. And my father being present, he kind of protected me because he saw these two are not getting along.
Yeah.
So the brunt of my mother's brutality, I felt it when my father died. So my father died August 19th. And then, you know, by September, October, we are sitting for the national exams. Let me tell you something. That's when I came to appreciate my father's presence in my life. Immediately my father died, I came back. I remember during the funeral, I tried to hug my mother. She pushed me with so much force that I felt embarrassed. I was going to my mom to look for a hug, to look for comfort. So growing up also, there was no love. There was no that, you know, even like we just used to greet her by her. So you grow up even lacking that emotional affection, you understand? So these kind of things, they really mess you up. You might look, you know, okay from the outside, but deep inside you're drowning, you understand? So from there now, I mean, like when my father died, now I went to school, I finished the exam. I was in a very precarious state, but somehow I managed to do the exam. Yeah. During the day, I keep a very straight face. At night, I'm crying nonstop. My father appeared to me in a dream, and he told me, Zamzam, you will make it. Sit for the exam. I scored an A-. Wow. And I never studied. I was in such a, you know, I was actually a straight A student. But in the process, I messed up my physics practicals. I was just in 1 month, you know, you're coming from a funeral. The school is not even aware you've lost a parent. They've not taken you through counseling. You know, you're just on your own. And I just announced to a few of my classmates, during the holidays, I lost my dad, and life goes on. So also unprocessed grief. It took me 21 years, sort of 20 plus years to process that grief. I left home, by the way, 3 months after my father's death. After I finished KCSE, I came back home. Home was brutal. One incident happened where my mother, she attacked me with a wire, a radio wire. She hit me so badly on the face. I still have scars. You can see scars.
Yeah.
So from there, I think for me, that was it. I knew, like, you know, Zamzam, I mean, you've just lost your dad, and this is double being orphaned twice. I mean, this home is not a place, this is no longer home for you. I left, I went to see a step uncle. I realized I could not stay there. I went to see another relative, I could not stay there. And then they realized that she looked for me, she realized I was there. I sent a message, I cannot come back to this home, like any other place but this place. So they started negotiating where to take me. A difficult child, you're being discussed the way you're a very difficult child. And growing up, she used to call me, in a Somali community, there's a word they use, asi, like disobedient caste child. And I used to wonder, why am I cursed? I'm a bright student, my father loves me. Yeah. I mean, like, it's just unhealed trauma and pain that people carry, and they look for soft targets, some of them children, to pass that trauma to them, you understand? Yes. Later on, when I got a cell phone, I saved my mother as Home Safaricom. Home Safaricom, I could not save the name mother or mommy or Hoyo in Somali. That name Hoyo used to scare me because it used to trigger me, like trigger me back to the pain. And then these kind of things, you don't talk about them because in our communities, when the perpetrator is your mother, then who are you going to turn to? I mean, mother is supposed to be nurturing. Mother is supposed to be everything. But mother is the abuser here. Mother is the one so brutal. Along the way, we just used to communicate like out of duty, but I had detached. So currently is when mediation talks were initiated by a very close family friend because I reached out to him and I just said, historical injustices, because I call this historical injustice, has to be addressed. Like, why did my mother do this to me? Especially after having gone through therapy, after having understood what I went through. I mean, like, you know, I didn't deserve this. And I raised all the issues. I even asked, is it that I was ugly? Is it that I was unlovable? Is it that I was not worthy? So along the way also you develop low self-esteem. And then mental health challenges as well that I suffered for so many years. You understand? Depression and anxiety because of all these things that happened.
So question, did your sisters go through the same?
So when you look at this kind of environments, when you talk about dysfunctional, toxic families, narcissistic abuse, different children go through different experiences. So for me, I've done a lot of study of family systems, internal family systems. I do a lot of research, by the way. I follow key pioneers in this kind of topics from the US. I was the scapegoated child. So I see, like, my firstborn sister was the golden child. She could not do any wrong. So for me, I was the scapegoated child. All problems, everything wrong in this family is attributed to me. So I've had to go through a lot of, and you know, when I went to my therapist, she told me, your mother is a narcissist, Zamzam. I told her, no, it cannot be. Mother is supposed to be mother. Mother is supposed to be loving, you know. But I've come to accept. So I've also broken this cycle of dysfunctional family because I also realized along the way it was messing up with my mental health. And I had to enforce very strong boundaries and to stand up for myself and to disrupt this system that was there and to make sure it ends with me. Sometimes abuse is in families. You understand? Family is not all glory and all lovey-dovey.
It's not what's sold.
It's not what's sold. So like for me, I've deliberately gone no contact with one sibling. Because now this person was just hell-bent to disrupt my life. And it had gotten to a point even I was suicidal. You know, this abuse, it drives you to a point where you're isolated, you're mocked, to a point now you start having suicidal thoughts.
Because you feel unworthy.
Unworthy, you're discarded. You understand?
Tell me about your daughter. So when all of this was going on, how and when did you get into a relationship?
So along the way now, you know, like once you leave home, you come live with relatives in Nairobi, you're trying to find your path in life. I remember even school fees was a problem. And my father had left enough for my fees. So I used to ask for my fees, I'm denied my fees. I cry for 3 consecutive days asking for my fees. Then I thought, why am I crying for fees? There's Higher Education Loans Board that pays for kids from poor families. I applied. I got Higher Education Loans Board, it paid for my fees. That is how I survived. I stopped, you know, it gets to a point, you have to now take steps to stop crying and to stop being a victim and to do with what you have to do. So one of the scars that I have, when I was in second year, I went to my mother to ask for fees and she called me a tick.
Oh, tick.
Tick, a coupe. It's like, that thing really messed me up. That thing, I was on a self-destructive path during my university years. I could have actually committed suicide or I could have used drugs. I was just a shell of myself. I'm somehow studying because I know this is what I have to do, but internally I'm hurting.
Broken.
I'm not okay. So along the way also you end up in very abusive relationship, one after the other, looking for external validation. And then now after I finished university, after I finished law school, I had suitors coming and going, but I knew I had to study. So now the family arranged now my daughter's father, the marriage. He was a narcissist. this kind of thing actually, unless you heal, you'll keep on attracting the same patterns. So I was in a narcissistic marriage, short-lived. It only lasted 3 months. Out of it, I came out with a pregnancy for my daughter. I was a single mother from the time I carried my daughter.
Wow.
But it took me 5 years to get my divorce papers, because also I didn't want to come out into this community as a single mother.
Yes.
And I was building my career. I knew being in this kind of space, they were going to discriminate me as a single mother. I needed to feed my daughter. I needed to put food on the table. So I just kept hush. But this person kept on tormenting us. I underwent emotional abuse. I underwent financial abuse. That thing really messed up my mental health also. Now, as my career was taking off now, the marriage was crumbling. Of course, whatever that, 3 months is nothing. But you see, we were kind of like portraying to society that we are a family, but we were actually not a family. We were not together.
No.
So I finally took my divorce papers. I hired a sick lawyer, Kalasinga, female lawyer. I told her, go and process for me my divorce papers. And coming from this kind of communities, it was like, how dare you? You're supposed to go through clan elders. You understand? And you'll be taken through a circus of, you understand? You'll be taken through round. I said, no, I'm a lawyer, I'm educated. I instructed a lawyer. She processed. I got custody of my daughter. And then I said, I think for me now, I had gone through so much.
Yes.
I needed, first of all, to take a break. To understand who is Zamzam. Why are these things happening to you? You know, like it reaches a point in life, you hit rock bottom. And then you sit and you realize I'm the common factor in all this mess. So I sat down, I said, you know what, Zamzam, you're a very bright girl, but there's something not adding up. And then along the way, I stumbled on Mother Wound, a friend of, a very close friend of mine now. I mean, like I didn't know her then, thank God for social media. She had posted about Mother Wounds. Then I finally said, aha, finally, I know what's ailing me. I didn't know what is ailing me. So I sought therapy. The first therapist wasn't very equipped. But once you start this healing journey, God leads you on a journey. And I got the right therapist, Kineri. And she sorted me out. And I used to go for therapy weekly. When COVID hit, for me, I was committed on this healing journey. And it would disrupt even my mind. Because like once you go through this session, 3-4 days, you're not even stable. Because there's a lot of uprooting of emotions and trauma. You understand? When you see Karura forest, the roots of a tree, these things are deeply entrenched in you and they have to be uprooted. And it causes destabilization, but after some time, there's balance. So from there now, that's when I'm starting to reestablish a relationship with my mother now at the age of 40. My mom is giving me love at the age of 40, which I don't need when you look at it per se. I needed my mother's love when I was a child. And for me, I'm at a point where, I mean, the relationship is being reestablished, but for me, I want it to grow organically. And a lot of conversations will have to be done.
Of course.
You understand? And she has to understand. And for me now, I'm talking to my 7-year-old daughter about what I went through. Of course, I don't want to traumatize her with too much information. But I tell her, Mommy, you know, even I don't know how to be a mom. I don't know what not to be. But I don't know what to be because I'm a cycle breaker. And that's how God opened for me an interracial union.
Oh, you were able to trust and love again?
After, it took me 3 years. In fact, even I say, my daughter's father does not even know Zamzam. I don't know who that person was. That wasn't me. So the person that I am with now knows Zamzam, knows me, knows what I like.
And you married outside of your ethnic community?
Ethnic community. And you know, it was a bold decision. In life, I tell people, learn to be bold. Learn to be brave. Learn to embrace your fears.
So Zamzam, everything you've learned, and yes, you're a lawyer and your specialty is property. But everything you've learned, because I feel like it wasn't just in vain. It wasn't just about breaking the cycle so that it stops with you and your daughter doesn't have to go through that. What are you doing with all of that?
So now let me tell you what I'm doing. I am mentoring girls, and I am mentoring the boy child and the girl child, coming from vulnerable backgrounds, coming from this kind of trauma-filled families.
Yes.
I am mentoring them. I am so passionate.
Yes.
I'm paying fees for kids coming from vulnerable backgrounds. So for me, I tell myself, all the pain that I went through, let it count for something.
So if
Yes.
there are those watching and they still are dealing with wounds, actually the truth of the matter is we all are dealing with wounds. We are all on healing journeys.
Yes.
Some are aware about it, some
Yes.
are not. You're hearing this
Yes.
for the first time, something is clicking, you're like, wait a minute.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes.
So we're all on this journey, we're just different steps and phases.
Yes, yes.
So for those watching and something
Yes.
is clicking with them and they
Yes.
feel like, I want to talk to Zamzam.
Yes.
How could you just let them know how they can reach
So
you?
you can reach out to me through my social media handle, Facebook, Zamzam Abib. Send me a private message. I'll be able to guide you. I've guided so many. A lot of people are actually, they're like issues of mother wounds. So like on Mother's Day, people are celebrating Mother's Day. For some of us, Mother's Day is like your worst day. You understand? And when you read about, when you see Bethany Webster, they're talking about, you know, like right now, there's a concept of reparenting yourself. You reparent yourself, part of the healing journey. There's the inner child. You need to do a lot of inner work to heal. And then don't pass the trauma to innocent lives. I realized in the first 2-3 years of my daughter's life, I was becoming like my mother. I was brutalizing this girl. Then I realized, hell no. And I took myself through on a healing journey. And I'll talk about issues of domestic violence because I've seen good people in good careers messing up their lives because of domestic violence. Why? Because he saw the father beating up the mother.
Yes.
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
Can you go and heal? We have male therapists, we have female therapists. Seek healing, heal yourself, do the inner work. And I tell many people, before you join in a partnership, before you put yourself out there to venture in terms of life partnerships and things like that, can you clean up your mess? Don't pass trauma and, you know, like pain to innocent people.
Yeah.
Hurt people, hurt people. You don't bleed on, you know, people who didn't cut you.
Yeah.
So a lot of that I've learned, and healing is not linear. It's something that every day you'll be like, aha, like, oh my God, I didn't know I was dealing with this, you know, and it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. But the ripple effect, like for me, I've seen it. Once you heal your personal life, your professional life,
everything else,
your friendships open up, everything. And I told my therapist, oh my God, I can't believe, like, how was I living before? And she told me, Zamzam, it's because your inner world is changing. That's why your outer world is changing.
It's reflecting what's inside.
Exactly. These days, I'm just happy. These days, you know, I'm finding joy in little things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, opinion of people does not bother me. I don't need to seek external validation.
Yeah. Well, Miss Abib,
yes,
I'm so glad you came.
Thank you, thank you.
And you shared so openly and
Thank
so
you,
powerfully. You've actually basically just released healing here for people watching, even for us here as crew. You know, you speak and everybody can just relate to something. And I'm just so glad that your story is a beacon of hope and light to those who still feel they are constricted by cultural norms, society opinions, and feel like, I can't come out of this. And your story is a testament. It's that city on a hill that's shining bright. And I'm just glad you are here and you've shared it here on What's Your Story.
What I say is there's a lot of pain and trauma in families, and they're hush-hush. So let us heal our families. Let us pave a different path. You know? Let home be a safe environment. Like my partner now, he's my safe space. I can talk to him about anything. I don't, like even the other day I was telling him, like home, finally I have a safe home. Like home is home. The kids are growing up in a safe home. We don't have to see, oh, mom, dad is coming, you're running in different directions. No.
Let's have safe environments.
Let's have safe environments.
That's a good place to close it.
Yes.
For now, at least.
Yes, for now, at least, yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I hope my story, let it count for something. If it can touch one life, because for me, I didn't know this kind of things happen to people. I thought it was only happening to me. And, you know, through reading, you're seeing, you know, it's happened to so many people. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But we're all waking up.
We are all waking up. Actually, the world is going through an awakening now.
Yes.
Massive awakening.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching.
Yes,
I
yeah.
know without
Yes.
a shadow of doubt this
Yeah.
has been worthwhile
Yes,
for you.
yeah.
And I keep saying, and I love to say it, do not suffer in silence, do not suffer alone.
Yes.
We have a SMS line 22151. It's just here on your screen, I think bottom
Yes.
right.
Yes.
It's a free of charge SMS service. Send us your feedback. Go to Facebook, look for Zamzam. If you're not on Facebook, because I also appreciate most of you may not be on social media, then text us and we shall link you up to her.
Yeah.
22151. Give us your feedback. Do not suffer alone.
Yes.
There is light. She has overcome a whole culture thing, generational trauma,
Yes.
breaking cycles.
Yes.
And now you see she's healing her relationship with her mom, and she has a safe space for her, for her partner, and for her kids.
Yeah.
I think we all can try our best to get out of those dark spaces. The show repeats Sunday 2 p.m., but it also goes up on YouTube after this. So tune in, and just if you want to watch some more, just do that in your own time. I'm glad you tuned in tonight. Bless you.
Gem Suites Hotel and Luxury Serviced Apartments currently boasts 2 properties within Kenya. Gem Suites State House Crescent, set in the exclusive State House neighborhood, comprises of 34 well-appointed apartments, and Gem Suites Riverside, set up in a secure, private and tranquil setting. In the upscale Riverside neighborhood with 98 luxuriously appointed full-service 1- and 2-bedroom apartments, superior hotel rooms and presidential penthouses.